Hi, and welcome to my channel, Busy Bee Natural Remedies. I'm Karissa, and today I'm just giving my weekly update on the X39 patch. This is 3 weeks for me, and there are some things that I'm noticing that I was not expecting to notice, at least not so quickly. Okay, so just so you know, LifeWave does not claim to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease. Okay, but they did do clinical trials to see what the effects are on a person's energy, on a person's sleep, on a person's inflammation levels. So in a 3-month trial, they were able to see that the body was able to naturally improve sleep, energy, the skin, and inflammation within the body. I can tell you from my own experience, I have experienced all 3 of those things. And I kid you not, every day, the energy is just amazing. I don't ever feel tired. I don't feel like, oh, I can't do this today, or I'm so tired. I don't want to go out and play with my kids, or, ugh, I gotta cook dinner now. I mean, sure, there's still the, ugh, I gotta cook dinner now moments, but it's not because I'm tired. It's just because I just get tired of cooking dinner every night. But that's okay. That's a whole nother story, right? But it is definitely living up to its name and even then some, okay? So I'll just give you some other things that I've noticed within my own body that I wasn't expecting to see happen so quickly. So I've had 3 kids. I had 2 boys. I mean, anyone who's had children, especially any women out there who've had boys, and they stretch you. They stretch you to the limits when you were pregnant with them. And my boys certainly did. They were not little boys. And in fact, I had to have C-sections with both of them. Okay? That tells you how big they were. I have been working out for over a year. I don't work out like 2 or 3 hours a day. I don't work out more than like 25 minutes a day. If it takes more than 25 minutes, I'm not doing it. I don't have time. So I do about 5 days a week, 25 minutes. I do HIIT workouts. I'll probably do another video on that, on how you can really help improve your health and well-being and just your overall body complexion. Just by doing easy, simple workouts, you don't have to kill yourself and be exhausted. But that's another topic. So I've been working out, and here's the thing. Everything was great except for the stomach area, because being a mom who had 2 large boys that required a C-section, I always had that little extra skin that would always, it didn't matter what I did, it didn't matter how much, ab work I did, it was always just extra skin that would, if I wasn't standing straight up and, arching my back and crimped a little bit, you would see little wrinkles. And it was always frustrating because I refused to go get surgery to have that quote-unquote extra skin removed. Well, I kid you not. My stretch marks are disappearing. Those wrinkles are almost gone. I no longer have the wrinkles when I kind of crouch down a little bit. They're just disappearing. They're not 100% gone, but I looked this week and I wasn't even looking for it. I just kind of was looking at myself in the mirror for whatever reason, and then I did something. I looked down, I was like, wait a minute. Normally I see a bunch of wrinkles when I do that. There was barely any wrinkles, which means my skin's tightening up, which makes sense because with X39, the way it works is it's a patch with organic crystals inside it, and those crystals reflect your own body's infrared heat back into your body. Now, what does that do for your body? So, in case you don't know, we put off infrared heat 24/7. That's why when you do night vision goggles, you can see people because you're seeing their infrared heat they're putting off, which means they're putting off that 600 to 800 wavelength is what they're putting out. Well, that same wavelength comes from the sun as well. So when we go outside in the sun, when the sun hits our body, it gives us those wavelengths. That's a deep penetrating wavelength. That wavelength turns on your ATP, which is energy, turns on your mitochondrial and cell regeneration, stem cells. So that's what this is doing. Instead of us just losing our heat and it not going anywhere, just lose it from our body, it is what it is, too bad. This patch helps with that. It takes the infrared heat that we're putting off, cleans it, puts it back into our body. Now that infrared heat wavelength turns on our copper peptide, a very important copper peptide that they have hundreds of studies on. You can look up in PubMed. The copper peptide that helps to turn the body's mechanism on for stem cell regeneration. So our stem cells, as we get older, by the time we're 30, half our stem cells go to sleep. By the time we are 60, all of our stem cells are pretty much asleep, which is why if you look at someone who's 59, 60, and then you look at them 10 years later, they look considerably different. Like, he's not. My father's going to be turning 70 this year, and I saw a picture of him 9 years ago. Completely different. And it makes sense. Understanding now that our stem cells, which is the stem cells, you want to call it the fountain of youth. Your stem cells are like the fountain of youth, right? Think about it. They do stem cell research all the time. They use stem cells to regrow organs. They inject stem cells into people's joints to help with inflammation. Why? Because those stem cells are supposed to help rebuild the cartilage within that joint. But those are extremely expensive, and I imagine they're pretty painful, right? Well, that's what this technology does. Only it does it using your body's own infrared heat, and you wear it for 12 hours. And they take it off and replace it with a new one. We could get the same thing from the sun, except we can't spend 12 hours out in the sun because, unfortunately, the sun doesn't just put off that infrared or that wavelength, right? It puts off other wavelengths that if we get too much of, it can, in return, have adverse effects. Which is why we can't just go out in the sun for 12 hours and say, well, why isn't all the same benefits happening? Sun puts off more than just the wavelength of the infrared heat. But this takes the good part of the sun, turns back on our stem cells, which then helps to start repairing our body. And as our body's repairing, the inflammation goes down because your body's going, oh, I'm not injured anymore. I don't need to keep sending a signal like, hey, there's something wrong here. Which that's our body's, that's our way of telling us something's wrong. It always starts with inflammation. If you're inflamed somewhere, if you have pain, that's your body's first response to say, hey, something's not right, okay? So when you have your stem cells being turned back on, you essentially are reversing time in a way. Now, they don't make claims that, LifeWave doesn't make claims of that, but I can tell you, I'm literally seeing my body slowly regenerate itself, degress and aging, which is amazing. But here's another thing. I decided that, I was going to wait till I got through the 3-month period, but something in my heart was in my gut. I felt like my intuition was just saying I needed to try it on my youngest. He has some gut issues, so he can't do milk and stuff like that. And he also is having some sinus issues because we've been changing seasons and stuff. And something just kept nagging me saying, go ahead and put it on him. So I decided to start him on it on Saturday. Okay? And that night when he went to bed, his stuffiness wasn't all the way gone, but it was gone enough that he didn't breathe through his mouth. And I'll talk about mouth breathing in a different video and how detrimental it can be to your overall health and also your dental health. But that's another topic for another day. So first night, great. He's no longer breathing through his mouth. I'm already starting to see the effects of that. And that's all I did for him that day. I didn't change anything else with him. I just put the patch on him, and after 12 hours, he took it off. The next day, he was out playing rough. I had the patch on him again. He was out playing rough and decided to climb on things he shouldn't have climbed on. And he fell, and unfortunately, he went face first on the concrete. And he fell from quite a high distance. So, I don't panic when my children get hurt, because that's not good to do that for them. So I walk over to him. Yes, he's screaming. He's crying. He has got a massive goose egg already forming on his head. It's already turning, the purple color, the bruising color. And I just quietly walk him inside. We do our typical, we clean it off, we put some ice on it. And, I just knew. I was like, well, he's on the patch. Maybe this will heal it quickly. I kid you not, the next day, there is no bruising at all. The goose egg is about that size, okay? Not even 24 hours after he got it, it was almost completely gone. This morning, you can't even hardly see it. There might be like the size of a needlehead bump on there. I'm expecting by tomorrow, it will be completely gone. And it does not hurt. He touches it. I'm like, does it hurt? He says, no. You almost can't see it. All you see is a little bit of scratches, like scabbed over already. Just a few scratches for when, hitting rough concrete, it never goes smoothly. But I kid you not, I was just like, oh my gosh. And any parents who have kids and have had them get goose eggs knows that it takes days, if not weeks, for the goose egg to completely go away. And usually you have the purple and black bruising, and then it goes to that yellow bruise, showing you that it's healing, and then the goose egg, once that yellow bruise is all gone, usually the goose egg is pretty much gone. We didn't even go through yellow bruising. We barely even had any purple bruising. But this is what I'm talking about. This patch heals your body from within. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, his body knew that all resources for repairing his body needed to go to where he hit his head. And so that's what his body did. But because the patch was on him, his body was already amping up the production of his stem cells. He should already be producing stem cells, but this just helps to amplify the body's ability to, right? Ability to focus those stem cells where it needs to go, because you have that copper peptide, which helps direct those stem cells where they need to go. That is the key. It's that copper peptide. Copper peptide turns on the stem cells, and it helps direct them to where the body needs them most. So I kid you not, that copper peptide in his body said ramped up and said, let's go fix that goose egg. And it did. And I was just shocked. My husband was shocked. I showed other parents pictures and told them when it happened. I showed them even at school and said, this happened Sunday afternoon. We are now at Tuesday morning, not even 48 hours in. And they're just like shocked. They're like, what? He should have a massive goose egg. I'm like, he should. And he doesn't. So that is proof. I mean, I don't need any more proof to know that these things work. I see it working on my body all the time. I see it working on my son. My husband, I've seen it increase his energy. He's more of a skeptic. And as I've said, if you're going to tell your body something's not going to work, you're already putting up a roadblock for your body to be able to just embrace it and let it work. You know, it's probably going to take him more time to see the benefits, but that's okay. Because sometimes it takes that, you know, no harm, no foul. My husband said it best. He's like, I thought I'm going to try him. You know, worst case scenario, they don't do anything. I just take the patch off, no big deal. Best case scenario, it starts improving things in my body that, you know, I was hoping would change. Now, my guess is he's having a lot of internal changes. He did not go get his blood test drawn before he started. I'm going to try and get him in to get his blood test drawn because I think we might see some things. And that's honestly where he's going to see the proof is in blood tests. But, you know, wish me luck on that. Trying to find time to get him to go to the doctors. Very difficult. But anyway, these are my experiences. This is week 3. Like I said, my skin is turning back time. Stretch marks are disappearing. Loose skin is disappearing. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll keep doing the weekly updates and just let you know how it's going. But if you're interested in learning more about this patch or possibly even ordering it, there will be links below for you to do so. If you like hearing content like this and want to hear it more, hit that like button and subscribe. But for more tips and tricks on how to keep your family happy and healthy the holistic way, follow me for more at benaturalremedies.com.